Madini Mazimba.
Madini Mazimba.
Madini Mazimba.
Madini Mazimba, back again, and today I'll be sharing with you my views and thoughts on Tembalami's latest album titled The Fight. Now, I became a fan of Tembalami in 2010 when he released his first album titled Brighter Days. Now, that album came at a moment in my life when I needed some inspiration, and with tracks such as Brighter Days, the title track, and Fambana Jesu, the album managed to give me, those tracks, they managed to give me the push that I needed those days. And since then, I was a fan of Tembalami. Now, we followed up that album with another album titled Faith Aid Kit, which is a massive album. And if you ask me, it's definitely my favorite album from Tembalami, from all of his albums. And also on that track, it contained my favorite track from Tembalami, which is the track Manya, another track which uplifts and motivates me each and every time when I'm in need of motivation. Now, also, Faith Aid Kit is the album that really introduced Tembalami to the majority of Zimbos. It is that album that really, announced the arrival of Tembalami on the gospel music circles, and it made him to become the best, the best modern contemporary gospel artist we have in the country. Now, we also followed up that album with another album titled Singles, Remixes, and Acoustic Sessions, which contained, the Bayete remix. I think if you go on Tembalami's YouTube profile, it's definitely among his most watched videos. It's a very lovely track. I then also followed up that album with another album titled Ministry of Works. Now, this is more like a live album, and this album contains a number of tracks from his previous albums and a couple of new ones. And it's also another album you definitely enjoy listening to. Now, finally, he has now given us a new album. Now, going to this album, he released a couple of tracks, and the first track that I heard from this album was the track Sekerera. And this track, they just went on this Kirk Franklin kind of feel-good kind of gospel, and he's just urging people to smile, just to be happy. Because sometimes I'm going to snap mad, I'm going to snap the motor, I'm going to snap imba, but just be happy in the Lord, because if you have the Lord, you have everything. And the visuals are quite entertaining to watch. Now, when this track was released, I wasn't that much not into the track, but then when I was listening to the album, preparing for this review, I found myself enjoying this track much more. Now, another track that he released was the track Vangeri, featuring Big Welly and Tapio Masara. Now, this is an energetic track. And I think, kuti pesa panogonzipana Big Welly, Wellington Kwenda, he's going to inject a lot of energy. The guy is very energetic. Even Vamona achitisa choir is in praise, he has a lot of energy. And the track just borrows from the popular hymn, Vangeri Ngari and Ngati Paris Vangeri. Let's just spread the gospel to all the corners of the world. The production is done very well. I love the guitar work on this track. And also another track that he released, before the album dropped, is the track Sawa, featuring Evelyn Wanjiru. Now, this is a very lovely track. I enjoyed listening to this track. The production, it has this Afrobeat kind of feel to it. The visuals, they're very good. If I'm to compare with the other visuals from Vangeri and Segera, I have to say the visuals for Sawa, they're the best. I just enjoyed watching the visuals. I also did a review for the track when it came out. You can just go on my blog, proudzimbo.blogspot.com, and just watch and read my full review of that track. Now, going to this album, given these 3 tracks that were released before the album dropped, you kind of get a feel of how the album is going to sound. Tembalami was going to continue on this modern kind of gospel, fusing a lot of genres into his music. And then go to the themes, and we're going to find out, the most of the themes that are tackled in this album are those themes that you definitely expect from a gospel album. But the major theme that is tackled on this album is the issue of grace, the grace that has been given unto us. And we get tracks such as Grace Anthem, which is a very lovely worship track, which is more an up-tempo, kind of tip. There's Nyasha Zenyu, which is arguably my favorite track on this whole album. It's an amazing track. And then there's the track Zingori Nyasha. So grace is the theme that it tackled the most on this album. And now, as you listen to the album, you get to find out the themes that it tackled was, and a number of the tracks, they're all about exalting, they're all about thanksgiving, they're all about just giving praise unto the Lord. But then if you try not to connect them with the title of the album, which is The Fight, for me personally, I failed to find the link between the two. So in that way, I feel as if the title of the album is a bit misleading, and that's one of the major problems, complaints I have with this album. I only have 2. The other one, Chariz Zagumberi, but this is the first complaint. The title is a bit misleading. When I saw the artwork, Tembalami with those red gloves, and the title, I thought, the themes that I thought he was going to tackle, or maybe the verses that I somehow thought he was going to concentrate on, are not the verses that he actually concentrated on. So is definitely misleading. Maybe the album Derakanzi, The Grace, The Amazing Grace, it was definitely going to be a much more not fitting title to the album. But regardless of that, the themes that he managed to tackle, he did tackle them quite well. Now, also another thing is that when you look at Tembalami, when you listen to Tembalami's music, he's one of those guys that could sing. But every time you see a picture of Tembalami, a video of Tembalami, he always has a very big smile on his face. And going to this album, you listen to a lot of tracks, you get to feel as if not he's singing with a smile on his face. And that's why his tracks are more uplifting, they're motivational. And that's one of the major things that made me a fan of Tembalami from the very, very first time. His music just uplifting. He has a big smile on his face, and even in the way he's singing, his voice, his choice of words, you can get to feel not this guy probably is singing with a very big smile on his face. And that track Sekerere just embodies the overall feel of this whole album. Even on the worship tracks such as Nyasha Dzenyu or Torumbidza, you just get that gladful kind of feel inside you. They are not those worship tracks ekuti ukamateerera anokusiya kwazara nemusodzi uchichema, but they're those tracks ekuti as you listen to them, even you yourself unongopedzera one a smile on your face, and you just let out a silent prayer unto the Lord, just saying thank you, Lord, because those tracks, they just make you realize how blessed and how favored you are. Just look at the things you have that are around you. Okay, I'm alive, I have this. They just make you appreciate the Lord much more for that which He has done for you. So Tembalami has that talent in him. He has, I think it's definitely a gift that he has. Whenever he sings, his music just uplifts. It just uplifts you to a much, much better place, which will leave you much more grateful and much more happy. And after that, we go to the performances on this album. Now, Tembalami delivered a solid performance throughout the whole project. His vocal performance was on point throughout this whole album. And sometimes he even shocked me, especially like on that track, Kure. It's a very, very lovely track. On that track, it's just basically saying, Tinoshika Kure na Maruyu, Angani Yesuva Pekutanga, and it's definitely going to take us very far. Now, the way, he was singing that kind of deep baritone kind of voice, it's a voice from Tembalami. So when I was listening to that track, because when I was doing the review, I would just go on Spotify, select the album, and just play it on shuffle while I was in Chita. So when this track started playing, okay, who did he feature on this track? I could not know. He didn't. I featured Ningi or Ningi. But then as the track went on, the person was like, okay, I think it's Tembalami. Not when he sort of reverted back to his normal voice, but regardless, he did a very, very good job on this track. It just sounds very good. Like I said, the vocal performances are quite solid. Whenever, there was need for him to be passionate, to be emotional, he really delivered, not as expected. So I don't fault him throughout this album in terms of his vocal performance. Now the artists that he featured, they also did very good jobs. There's Big Welly, Tapio Masara, and Vangeri. They injected the much needed energy that specific track needed, and the track sounds quite good. Now we have Evelyn Wanjiru on Sawa. She delivered a very lovely performance, just giving that Afro flavor to that track, because the track, like I said, is more like on an Afro beat kind of tip, and Evelyn Wanjiru just gave it that Afro flavor that the track needed. Then also we have Kudu Boy on the track with Zikisirwe, and also did a very good job. And lastly, in the performances, I was very much impressed by the backing vocals. But on a lot of albums, on a lot of projects, people really disregard or they just overlook the backing vocals. But I was definitely impressed by the backing vocals on this album. Their vocals, they were structured very well, and they provided the much needed support. They complemented Tembalami and all the other artists on this album very, very well. They did a very solid job. And lastly, I will go to the production of the album. Now, the overall production is done very well, and with someone like Mark D at the helm of the production, Mark D is a legend in the game. He has been in the game for quite some time. He has countless gospel hits under his belt, and so you definitely know with Mark D, this is going to be a solid project, and it definitely did not disappoint. And like I said in the beginning with this album, they borrowed from a number of genres. If you look at the first track, Kure, it's more like a pop rock kind of track. Then you go to the track, Sawa featuring Evelyn Wanjiru. It has this Afro pop, Afro fusion kind of feel on it. Then you also have the track Usad Zikisiro featuring Kudu Boy. It has this reggae kind of vibe to it. So they really did quite well. And also like on that track Sekerera, which has this Kirk Franklin feel good kind of vibe. No track sounds the same as the other, and that makes the album quite interesting, quite entertaining to listen to. Now the only complaint, which is my second complaint I have about this album, is on the track It's Ngorinyasha. Now as I listen to this track, the arrangement is done very well. The vocals, they are done very well. The overall feel of this track, they just done very well. But somehow the quality of that track, maybe at first I thought maybe it's the copy that I listened to, but then I was streaming this this album from Spotify. Tembalami, this is the official audios, and I wasn't that impressed with the quality of that track, and that's my second complaint of this whole album. Now, I just felt as if they could have really done much more in terms of the mastering, because it's not as polished, it's not as clear or as smooth as all the other tracks on this whole album. So I just hope they get to remaster that track and not replace it on the album. And if they do that, this will definitely be one of my favorite tracks, just maybe the second one after Nyasha Dzenyu on this whole album, because I just love everything about it, but sound quality just just lets me down. But regardless of that track, the overall feel, the overall production of the album is just done very, very well. So yeah, that just wraps up this album. I know, just to summarize, like I said, the themes that he managed to tackle, they're quite well, although the title is a bit misleading. The vocal performances, they're done very well, and the production also done very well, just by that one track. I've enjoyed listening to this album, and I can definitely recommend it to a lot of people. You won't be disappointed as you listen to this album. Now, comparing this album to his previous albums, I have to say, Faith 8K still remains my favorite album from Tembalami. On second, you may have the Ministry of Works, that live kind of energy, that live feel. It has this allure that you cannot really escape, that live kind of feel. And maybe this album, The Fight, comes on number 3. So my overall rating for this album, I give this album a B. Now, also this album has been out for a couple of months now, so I know a number of you have managed to listen to the album. So go in the comment section below. Tell me what's your favorite track on this whole album. Tell me what you think of the album as a whole. And after that, come back, like the video, subscribe to the channel. See you again next time.